The Buddha's golden words, knowing contentment, is the key to peace and happiness, serenity in body and mind. Do you believe there are people who, only upon taking their last breath, realize that they once existed in this human realm? When we have a little, we want more. When we have more, we still want even more. But when we lose it all, we suddenly realize if only we still had just a little would have been enough. There is a saying, try tuk, know sufficiency, which essentially means knowing contentment means acknowledging that what you have is enough. How long will you wait for enough? And knowing contentment is one of the important keys to opening the door to peace. Life is not a race. It is a journey for us to gradually discover the meaning of living. The important thing is not the reward we receive at the finish line, but rather what we feel on each stretch of the path. Therefore, we need to be aware of ourselves to know clearly that we are alive with each breath. If we fail to do this, we are not actually living, but merely existing. We all know a simple truth. When coming into and leaving this world, we have nothing in our two hands. So why do we try so hard to claim everything for ourselves, things that never truly belong to us? Living amidst the misty world, no matter how complicated life may be, we walk with wisdom and compassion. Compassion must be accompanied by wisdom, leading us to adapt according to causes and conditions, living skillfully so that the boat can ride the tide to shore. With deep understanding, one can live unburdened, free from all suffering. Suffering is born from our own mind, and likewise it vanishes in the mind. Thus, how our mind is will determine how we perceive our life. Fate arises from within. When choosing a path, we are deciding our destiny. We should not worry too much about the past. Let us live fully in the present and look forward to the future. Doing so ensures that our tomorrow will surely be brighter. At times, facing the destructive force of impermanence, we feel as though we may collapse. But if we understand the philosophy of dependent origination, we will realize that all along we have been enjoying so many gifts from the universe. Now, the universe reclaims some of these gifts to share with others that is only natural. So why see it as bitter? Where there is creation, there is destruction. Where there is union, there is separation. Yet most people never wish to fail at anything. Humans suffer because they want everything to endure, even though impermanence is the true nature of life. On the other hand, there are those who disregard the suffering of others for their own benefit and pleasure. Hence, in one person's gain or joy, there always lies another's loss or sorrow. But let it be, for that is the nature of this world. If we learn to let go, only then can our mind find peace. Human suffering usually stems from greed, anger, and delusion. Therefore, to live happily, you should let go of some of your desires. You must accept imperfection as an essential part of being human. A human life, coming into this world naked, leaving it equally empty-handed, eating just 3 meals a day, sleeping in a single room. Why hold on to such huge desires if they only make us feel perpetually unsatisfied? Excessive desire is also the source of all suffering in life. If people want fewer troubles, they must first learn to let go. But understand that letting go here means letting go of greed, not letting go of one's duties and responsibilities. Sometimes, when people live too meticulously, they become troubled by trivial things around them. Living with a certain nonchalance can bring more joy and happiness. Why is that? Because those who are overly meticulous tend to be too serious. Big or small matters all seem crucial. Overthinking leads to exhaustion, and life is dominated by minor things, leaving little room for true relaxation. Meanwhile, those who live more casually pay less attention to minor issues. Perhaps that makes life simpler and even a bit rough, yet they find the real flavor of peaceful living. Be simple in your dealings, be practical in your work, so the days may pass lightly and easily, filled with ease. Everyone faces dissatisfaction in life. At such times, we must practice patience. Since ancient times, those who achieve great things must possess great resolve. Those with great resolve must have great patience. Patience is not avoidance or escape. It is a way of accumulating energy. Those who are patient make fewer mistakes due to impulsive actions. Kindness is the most beautiful virtue of human beings. Kindness alone may not fulfill all your desires, but it will give you inner peace. A joyful and cheerful disposition is the secret to longevity and a youthful spirit. One does not stop playing because one gets old. Rather, one grows old because one stops playing. A smile is a wonderful cosmetic that enhances one's beauty. It is the simplest and fastest way to connect people. Why is it that after middle age, some people have kind and benevolent faces, while others appear fierce, full of resentment? It is because appearance arises from the mind, and appearance changes according to the mind. When the mind is beautiful, the face will be beautiful too. A heart full of love radiates love with every word and gesture. A person who is always calculating and comparing will inevitably face difficulties in every situation. Walking with someone who knows tolerance means you will be around a magnanimous heart. These people do not fuss over trivial gains and will not burst into extreme delight over small benefits. Those who always calculate and haggle live very tiring lives. The ancients said, "Step back once and you'll see the sea and sky widen before you." Sometimes stepping back is actually stepping forward. One step back, one act of concession, can be better than pushing forward and losing yourself. If necessary, step back to understand yourself. Stepping back a few steps, or even many steps, is perfectly all right. The values life sets for you to strive for are all relative. The two words success in the future, as defined by society, can imprison one's present existence in a dungeon. What is the meaning of forever chasing shadows to the point of forgetting to live fully in the now? If you see white, recognize it as white. If you see black, recognize it as black. Do not look for white and black. Do not look for black and white. A clear understanding of black and white brings peace in life. Often, human suffering arises from the fear of losing something or someone familiar. When that loss really happens, people waver, lose motivation to live, fall into misery, and cannot accept reality. In fact, no one can lose what they do not own. Whatever truly belongs to you will always be yours. Whatever is not yours, no matter how tightly you cling, will still slip away. When you realize the things you insist on having and then gradually reduce your craving for them, reduce your dependence on them, you will become freer and happier. Love sincerely, but do not let your peace and happiness depend too much on anyone else. You become angry because your heart is not yet tolerant enough. You become anxious because your mind is not broad enough. You worry because your awareness is not yet leisurely enough. You grieve because your determination is not strong enough. You feel anguish because your thoughts are not positive enough. You feel envy because you have not cultivated yourself enough. All kinds of troubles originate from within. When they appear, it is an opportunity to look into yourself, recognize your own shortcomings, and strive to transform. Anyone who bears a human body has a certain amount of good fortune, like a bright moon shining with the blessings they have earned. If we do not cherish and expand these blessings, but instead create more negative karma, we will become like the moon fading from the full moon to the 30th night, sinking into darkness. That is truly sad, isn't it? Yet if we know how to cherish our bright moon, making our blessings ever greater, we will be like the moon waxing from the first day to the 15th, shining ever more brightly. That is truly precious, isn't it? It is not necessarily easy to be human. To move thousands of hearts or manage the tongues of the world is not easy at all. To be human, it is also not necessarily hard. You just need to keep a kind heart, be a gentle person, and go your own way. So, in life's storms, just remind yourself, once I get through the storm, the sun will appear. There is no need to sigh and lament in front of others. Even if you speak, they may not care much. Some things, when you let go, you feel lighter. Some people, when you remember them, bring you happiness. A certain type of pain, once understood, makes you stronger. If you focus too much on a single problem, you become trapped in it. In fact, any situation, however simple, becomes complicated if you overthink it. Just maintain a calm attitude, a generous heart, and whatever comes will pass with ease. Human life passes very quickly. If you can move beyond illusory fame and fortune, you will come in contact with truth. When confronted with complicated things, handle them gently and remove unnecessary entanglements so you can move forward with a clear mind. Yielding the way to others reduces petty conflicts. Look far ahead to see the rainbow after the rain. Pack lightly so you can travel at ease on a journey of thousands of miles. Actually, the most beautiful scenery is not what the eyes see, but what the heart perceives. Deep feelings need not always be spoken. They can be understood through actions. Whenever you feel dissatisfied, remember the action of water, which is soft and gentle, silently receiving and transforming all things without contention. If each person could cultivate themselves to this level, the world would be at peace and hearts would be at rest. If you look at others only to see their good points and see meaning in everything, life becomes joyful and the world a good place. But if you look at life with a troubled mind, everything becomes an obstacle, and the world seems ugly and detestable. Many people wish to be more beautiful. In fact, the best way to become beautiful is to keep your mind pure and your spirit happy. This kind of beauty helps others feel at ease around you, not annoyed. In truth, everything we gain in this life is the result of what we have done before. Everything we do now will produce future results. Life continues in that way. If you are aware of this, you will avoid much negative thinking and will not resent heaven or blame others when encountering adversity. Blessings come from diligence and a selfless way of living. Have compassion for those who are less fortunate, maintain a grateful heart for those who have shown you kindness, and keep a respectful attitude toward everyone and everything. If you believe in cause and effect, you will not do regretful things in life. Always respect others and cultivate tolerance and gratitude. The sea is vast because it can accept water from 100 rivers. In this life, there are two things we must do. One is to move forward, and the other is to pause. Are you facing these with a positive state of mind? A positive mindset is the best companion on the journey of life, helping us stay happy and healthy, whether with close friends or strangers. If there is a chance to cross paths, nurture good relationships. Because if you never light incense on normal days, rushing to cling to the Buddha's feet in times of emergency is a habit to avoid. Thus, we must accumulate human kindness like a bank account. The more you deposit and the longer you keep it there, the more interest it will yield. When difficulties arise, do not be hasty, do not jump to conclusions, especially when you are angry. Put yourself in others' positions to see things more clearly, to reduce big problems to small ones and small ones to nothing. With complicated matters, approach them gently. By all means, do not turn simple issues into something tangled. Always keep in mind no sufficiency. Most of people's sorrows arise from unconscious comparisons. Certainly there are those who are worse off than you, and those who surpass you. When you complain about not having nice shoes, remember someone who has no feet. If your opponent makes you angry, it proves you have not overcome them. Turning back to see who is insulting you might not even be necessary, like when you are bitten by a mad dog, it does not mean you should bite it back. Therefore, do not pay too much attention to the harsh words of others. Do not consider work a burden. Rather than grumble and get annoyed, face it cheerfully and with optimism. View work as life, as an art, and you will enjoy the pleasure it brings. Being able to live another day is already a blessing, so cherish it. Life is just a few decades. Do not do things that will leave you with remorse and regret. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Whether you are sad or happy, the day passes. Pay no heed to baseless gossip, and your life will be peaceful, your mind carefree. In the mundane world, people find it easy to hold their heads high, but difficult to lower them humbly. Talking too much is easy. Knowing how to be silent is hard. Making many promises is easy. Fulfilling them is hard. Suspecting and thinking ill of others is easy. Trusting and believing in them is hard. We often see the flaws of others, but rarely see our own, even when they are obvious. We remember clearly what we do for others, but we tend to forget what others have done for us. Loving those who are good and endearing is not as difficult as loving those who are still full of faults and weaknesses. Bowing before oppressive powers can be easier than bowing before a wise saint. Pursuing worldly pleasures is easier than keeping strict moral discipline and living simply. Receiving moral precepts is easy. Truly upholding them is hard. Chasing after worldly phenomena is easy. Letting go is truly distant. The cycle of birth and death is ever present. Liberation is hard to achieve. Human pride is large, though one might bow 1,000 times to others. Bowing once to oneself might be unthinkable. Let go of the deep-seated ego, and the heavens will suddenly open wider, and the earth becomes boundless. We come into this world chiefly for two major events, birth and death. One is already done. Only one remains, so there is no need to rush. Whatever is meant to come will come. Once it's done, it will fade away. Waiting or hoping, what is gained from that? A wise person does not live according to the world's chatter, nor fears the gaze of others, only needs to understand their own heart. Observing what is good or bad in oneself and gradually refining it is a way of cultivation. The greatest lostness in life is having no spiritual refuge, not knowing the direction in which one must head. Whether you are aware of it or not, whether you acknowledge it or not, if within you only goodness resides, then nothing can make you troubled. If your heart is truly kind, you will never resent anyone. If your way of living is truly simple, even a chaotic world cannot affect you. If you do good, your body remains healthy, your mind is at peace, and you sleep well. Doing good deeds is understood by heaven and earth, admired by spirits. Without suspicion, the world is not cold. Without discrimination, there is no distance. Without resentment, the sky remains warm. Without conflict, the seas are calm. True calmness is not sitting still for hours. It is maintaining a serene mind that observes everything and can hear even the sound of flowers blooming. Lasting peace comes from within. You will never find it by seeking externally. People strive a lifetime, work hard their whole lives, yet in the end cannot carry even a single blade of grass or leaf away with them. They hoard for a lifetime, gather for a lifetime, and still cannot take even the smallest bit of false glory with them when they go. Once affection arises, whether rich or poor, when the journey ends, we must say goodbye. One lifetime is very short. How many people promise to live 100 years, only to part ways as soon as they turn around? There are also those who sing of deep friendship, yet upon awakening find themselves separated by life and death. So, while you still have the chance, do not do anything you will regret later. Do not think too much. Do not worry excessively. Do not crave too greatly. As a person, it is fine to have little money as long as you do not let your will be impoverished. Never let a lack of money narrow your vision. Even if you cannot reach great heights of glory, at least be a useful person. As a human being, you may not be physically attractive, but do not let your heart be ugly. Kindness and compassion do not depend on outward appearance, but come from deep within the soul. As a human being, you can be short, but do not let your heart be narrow and petty. No one likes a person with a mean-spirited heart. Even if your shoulders are small and frail, a kind heart can still provide warmth to countless people. As a human being, you can be physically weak, but do not let your spirit be feeble. Those who are cowardly often fall into pessimism and inferiority. You must cultivate courage, self-confidence, and have your own convictions. As a human being, you can be slow with your hands and eyes, but never let your mind become dull. Always remind yourself to keep clear vision and open awareness. As a human being, it is acceptable to be a bit hard-hearted sometimes, but do not let brute force or cruelty turn you into a demon. Otherwise, if you do not go to hell, who will? It is acceptable to be somewhat intelligent, but do not believe you are a genius and everyone else is foolish, or else the only fool in the world will be you. It is acceptable to be a little lazy, but do not let yourself become idle day after day. Do what needs doing diligently and contribute if you do not want to be a mere parasite. It is good to be frugal, but do not be overly calculating for the sake of money, or you will develop the habit of judging others by wealth, and sooner or later become its slave. It is good to be tolerant, but do not let others take advantage of your kindness by continuing their wrongdoing. Under all circumstances, maintain your principles and self-respect. It is okay to go through hardships, but do not let them drag on forever without any way out. Learn how to rise above them. Some things, once they happen, can only be accepted. Some people, once they are gone, can only be let go. Some paths, once chosen, must be walked. Many good things in life come gradually. It is not about fighting for them. Be patient, or you might miss your appointment with happiness. Embrace everything big or small that happens in life, because one day, looking back, you will see that all these things mattered. Only when they become memories do we realize their value. If indeed there is a predestined connection, time is not an obstacle. If there is no affinity, even if we meet, we will still part ways. Perhaps one needs to walk many roads, experience many ups and downs, and undergo many hardships to truly mature. When you see someone clearly but remain silent, you understand the meaning of forgiveness. When you dislike someone but do not turn against them, you experience the pinnacle of wisdom. A person is not matured simply by living long, traveling far, or undergoing many events, but rather by knowing when to let go or show tolerance to minimize conflict. Everyone has experienced a certain amount of pain. This does not mean the pain is gone, but that they understand complaining about it solves nothing and only makes them weaker. True maturity is keeping a smile while transforming suffering into happiness. Regardless of how terrible life may be, you must bravely face it. Never think of running away, and never resort to cursing or complaining. In life, many things do not necessarily turn out how we wish them to. The sun does not fail to rise tomorrow just because you are upset, nor does the moon fail to set at night because you hold grievances. Covering your eyes does not make the world go dark. Blurring someone else's sight does not bring the light solely to you. In this world, only axes and chisels that are not yet sharp exist. There is nothing that cannot be broken down. The same goes for work. If you truly want something, you will find a way. If not, you will find an excuse. Life is like a glass of water. Whether hot or cold, if it is at a suitable temperature, you can drink it. Whatever the flavor, bitter, sweet, tangy, or spicy, if it suits your taste, it's good. Long or short, used quickly or slowly, as long as it fits the situation, it is fine. The 4 seasons rotate. Whether spring, summer, autumn, or winter, if it aligns with your state of mind, it is beautiful. Life is not a battlefield. There is no need to compete for victory between people. If empathy increases, misunderstanding decreases. Between tasks, if you concede more, strife lessens. Certain things require patience, certain people require concession. You cannot truly determine high or low. You need not desperately seek others' agreement or understanding, because everyone has their own perspective and individuality. We often overestimate our importance, so we fret about personal gains and losses and worry that others do not understand us. In fact, to be human, you must take yourself less seriously, reduce the ego, and step into others' shoes that will make the world much more endearing. Hence, the more you open your heart, the greater your joy. The broader your tolerance, the more blessings you receive. Do not gossip behind people's backs, and do not worry too much about rumors regarding yourself. A useless person has nothing worth discussing, but the more outstanding you are, the more you attract attention and criticism. In life, admitting faults is honesty, letting go is grace. If you offer honesty but do not receive grace in return, it means the other person is small-minded. Being tolerant of life's unpleasant aspects and focusing only on responsibility instead of personal gain places you at a high level of morality. When you can look forward with hope, look downward with sympathy, and look upward with gratitude, you are standing at a high place in your soul. Life requires looking far ahead, seeing through things, and seeing them clearly. Looking far helps you see the bigger picture. Seeing through helps you recognize the clamor of the world. People come for fame and leave for gain. Seeing things clearly does not mean you no longer have desires. It means your heart remains calm and unruffled. The most frightening sign of aging is not physical appearance, but losing the drive to improve. A person may not change their external form, but can change their character within. When character changes, life changes accordingly. In your daily interactions, remember, kindness, enthusiasm, and sincerity often lead to good results. Sometimes a friendly smile is even warmer than polite gestures and can bring warmth to people around you. In relationships, everything follows a certain destiny. Between people, if you see the other as a bodhisattva, you will perceive their goodness. If you see them as demons, they will appear scary. It is like looking in a mirror. If you smile, you see a smiling face. If you frown, you see a sorrowful face. Among friends, it is the same. If you treat someone respectfully, they will respond kindly. If you belittle or scold them, you will receive resentment. Therefore, in life, treat friends sincerely, treat family members warmly, treat loved ones with tolerance, and treat enemies with forgiveness. If you always maintain kind intentions toward everyone, eventually they will sense it and respond in kind. When your heart is full of goodness, the quality of your life will also be elevated. Appearance arises from the mind, and surroundings change accordingly. A kind heart, large enough to encompass everything, will show on one's face, radiating outward and bringing marvelous results. Humans are both simple and frightening. A kind heart can embrace all, while a malicious heart can cause endless harm. Acting excessively drives others away. Acting too harshly makes people resentful. If you contend with everything to the end, you may gain a small advantage, but lose people's goodwill, and you degrade yourself in the process. Therefore, when it comes to money and profit, appear a bit slow so as not to lose harmony. Regarding heartfelt matters, be moderate so that you do not go against your conscience. In vying for fame and gain, being a bit foolish can prevent mental exhaustion. In accepting others' goodwill and companionship, being a bit naive helps keep you from wandering astray. No one is perfect. Each of us has our own style. Some may admire us, others may envy us or be discontent. But deep down, we all hope to avoid gossip and discord. The truly wise do not live too cunningly, plotting all day long. They choose to act naive at times to maintain their goodness and to stay away from never-ending battles. Life is short. Knowing when you have enough brings freedom. Amid a busy life, being a bit foolish helps one remain carefree. Fate arises from within. When choosing a path, we are deciding our destiny. We should not be overly concerned about the past. We should live fully in the present and aim toward the future. Doing so guarantees that our tomorrow will be better. When criticized, it is acceptable to feel sad, but do not react angrily. Consider others' criticism as an opportunity to reflect on yourself and adjust as needed. When praised, it is fine to be happy, but do not immediately believe it all. Most praise flatters the listener, so do not let sweet words awaken arrogance in you. If life were truly unbearable, you would have no time to complain. If life were truly exhausting, you would have no energy to complain. If you were truly at your limit, would you have the mood to tell others about it? No matter where or when, remember that you live for yourself, so do whatever job you wish, as long as you do not betray your own conscience and you do your best. Even if you are exceptionally talented and thoroughly prepared, adversity may still occur according to its natural law. Where there is success, there will be failure. Where there is union, there will be separation. Yet most people never want to fail. Human suffering arises from the desire for permanence, though life is inherently impermanent. Sometimes, confronted with the destruction brought by impermanence, people nearly fall. But if they understand the principle of dependent origination, they will realize they have received too many gifts from the universe. Now, the universe takes back a portion to share with others that is natural, not bitter. On the other hand, some disregard the suffering of others for their own benefit and pleasure. Hence, in one person's gain or joy lies another person's loss or sorrow. Yet that is the nature of this world. If we can let go, our hearts will be at peace. All suffering and happiness arise within the mind and also cease within the mind. Therefore, however our mind is, that is how we will perceive our life. Find yourself a refuge beneath which to rest, under harsh sunlight, under pouring rain, in the upheavals of birth and death. Find a place that is just enough to shelter you. On that familiar path home, limping along, your feet ache, your passions have cooled. From time immemorial until now, we have never truly stepped beyond the realm of cause and condition. Find your original source, dwell peacefully in its shade, and enter the realm of no worries. Each day we face many disappointments, betrayals, and uncontrollable situations. We cannot always prevent these unpleasant things, so it is better to learn to adapt to them and even accept them cheerfully. Try to cultivate patience, tolerance, and magnanimity. Strive to view yourself and others in a kinder, gentler way. Do not worry excessively about failures. Leave the past behind so you can focus entirely on the present moment without dredging up unhappy memories to torment yourself. A person with a broad and tolerant heart will not feel that suffering is unfair. They will not complain about life, heaven, or others, but will remain calm and keep studying and working to improve their circumstances. In the face of hardships, some people retreat, some collapse, while others courageously move forward. Each difficulty or obstacle is a valuable chance to develop steadfast willpower and inner serenity, preparing for greater achievements in the future. The path of worldly life and the path of spiritual practice share a key requirement: perseverance, patience, and continual effort. If someone practices in a complacent, lazy manner, easily satisfied by superficial successes or ephemeral worldly pleasures, neglecting real diligence to overcome their own negative karma, then their spiritual practice is like trying to cook sand and expecting rice. There is a saying, all phenomena are created by the mind. Each year passes by. Do not blame your life for treading the same path, but instead ask yourself how much your mindset has changed. Those who see life as a battleground will always encounter struggles. Those who see life as a journey will appreciate the scenery. Those who see life as shifting clouds will always remain calm in the face of change. Life is just like that. There is no absolute right or wrong, only acceptance. Whether it is fulfilling or filled with suffering depends on our mental attitude when facing the many ups and downs of life. Often, after many failures, one finally appreciates the value of humility and patience. After many successes, one appreciates the value of courage and faith. After meeting many people, one values true friendship. After many hardships, one values understanding and tolerance. With many pursuits of fame and fortune, one values detachment and letting go. With many conflicts, one values harmony and forgiveness. Faced with many unpleasant words and sights, one values cultivating and refining the heart. Amid extensive social interactions, one values tranquility and calmness. After encountering much dishonesty, one values sincerity and straightforwardness. Knowing how to forget the things that bring you no joy, knowing how to leave places and people that make you feel small, that is what it means to know how to live. As long as there is still tomorrow, today will always be an ideal starting point toward the true, the good, the beautiful. When a blossom of the heart opens in life, the cosmos is but a dream. It is only that we need to unite our hands and sing the song of life and death, the immortal song of reality. One of the many sorrows people face in this life is expecting absolute behavior from others toward us. When we accept the relativity in their actions, happiness becomes immediately accessible, and we can enjoy the present moment. When we accept relativity, our hearts become more tolerant, trusting of people and life, with fewer discontents and disappointments. In fact, the foundation of life is the mutual dependence among people, things, this world, and the next. No one lives without dying, and nothing dies without resurfacing in some form. Life is interdependent, thus, it is relative. Hence, no one can live in complete isolation, and no one is absolutely perfect. If you let go of prejudice and truly observe the people you resent most, you will discover something interesting. They still possess traits that are quite endearing. Thus, perhaps the reasons you found them so unlikable are only relatively so. Conversely, if you objectively observe those you cherish and respect most, you will see they also have flaws and are far from perfect. So, the qualities you admire in them are also relatively admirable. When you realize that life has no absolutes, you will not come to hate another person to an extreme degree. Likewise, realizing life has no absolutes frees you from blindly idolizing others or reacting emotionally in the mindset of, when in love, even a water chestnut looks round. In short, once you adopt an objective viewpoint of reality, you can feel more at ease with viewpoints, with people who are either likable or not. Throughout history, people often imprison themselves in the jail of like and dislike, in illusions of absolutes they themselves create. This life is not absolute, yet we humans crave everything to be absolute, hence our suffering. Once you understand this, let me ask you, who can help you live happier, think more positively, and act more objectively? There is only one person: yourself. If you constantly remind yourself that life has no absolutes, you will find it easier to be comfortable in all your relationships. Happiness begins to bloom when you change your perspective from within. Happiness only arrives when your heart truly opens. Occasionally, reflect on death and the fragility of human life, as though you have just survived a near-death experience. Such thoughts will give you the strength to detach from trivial concerns. If you had only one day left to live, would you still bicker or bear grudges against life and others? Would you still behave arrogantly, lazily, or superficially toward yourself? Would you remain indifferent and callous, scheming against those around you? Would you continue indulging in meaningless pleasures? Would you still hold grudges, hatred, or engage in malicious acts? Would you still utter harmful words, carrying out actions that hurt others? Or would you simply wish, one peaceful morning, to sit quietly on your porch, to share a simple meal with your family, to look deeply into your children's eyes, to truly see the silent sacrifice and devotion of your parents, to say something that makes your loved ones smile? When confronting death, even the coldest blood and iciest heart will warm. Faced with death, gains and losses, ambitions for wealth, and deep resentments all fade. When there is no time left to choose many things, people naturally choose what is most precious. They will choose to think with compassion. They will choose to live kindly and sincerely. They will choose altruistic deeds. They will choose gentle words. They will choose kind eyes to view the world. They will choose warm hands to hold someone else's. They will choose calm steps so as not to harm the places they pass. And they will choose soft, steady breaths that listen more deeply to life. We know all this, yet we still often fail to master ourselves, letting negative thoughts and the gains and losses of this world sweep us away. In those moments, please remember, the way to love everything in this harsh life is to remember that eventually all things will be gone. Indeed, everything will be lost. Every morning when you wake, live as though today is your last day. This thought encourages you to see the world with compassionate eyes, to live with gratitude, to give your utmost, because you do not know if you will still have a chance to say thank you, say sorry, or do the things you yearn to do. If tomorrow you can still see the sunlight, remember to thank life with your whole heart. When we harbor desire in our hearts, we assume that achieving our wish will bring us great joy. But once that dream becomes reality, our heart often feels empty. Do you know why? Because when a desire arises and we long for something, once it is fulfilled, the long-held dream vanishes. The brevity of life flows like water through our fingers. Therefore, nothing in life is ever completely certain, right? Indeed. Let go of these worldly illusions. Let go of your fear of death, because it does not bring you any real benefit. Even if you fear the disappearance of life, start by negating its existence. Then seek that hidden self inside. Countless people in this world suffer due to material needs. Their lives are poor, they lack proper food and clothing, and endure injustice. Many others suffer because of mental distress. When you are on the verge of throwing yourself into the abyss, why not notice the magnificent scenery before you? Anything in excess, even joy, will eventually lead to suffering. Therefore, hold to the middle way, and you will see the nature of all things and find infinite tranquility. Like a spider spinning its web into a fine net, nature creates all things, and that beauty is boundless. For thousands of years, people have focused on criticizing others' faults, needing scriptures and scholars to cleanse those sins like making offerings and sacrifices. But I assert that the cause of all wrongdoing lies within us, and we alone can unlock the door to liberation. Suppose someone wants to get across a river. How can they do it? If the water is shallow, they can wade across. If it is deep, they must use a boat or swim. If they refuse to wade, swim, or row, then what? They can only pray to the gods. By praying, does the far shore appear beneath their feet? Such a person we call a fool, utterly ignorant. Likewise, if one uses wisdom to subdue desire and ignorance, how could one fail to find truth in the path of liberation? If you only rely on prayers or sacrifices, you remain stuck in place, unable to move beyond the starting line. The earth is our foundation. The sky offers us freedom. We live in it. What is called the supreme truth? It can only be experienced personally, knowing oneself, recognizing that within there are neither thoughts nor desires, only a balanced awareness. Perceiving and abiding in this, you will no longer see separations in existence, such as changes in the weather or the falling leaves of a tree as ruin. Can we experience this as well? Certainly. Wisdom is everywhere, in the sun, the moon, the stars, and the galaxy. That supreme truth can be possessed by everyone. To attain enlightenment, as I have, you must endure many trials. Desires, anger, illusions, greed, hunger, everything appears before you, yet you must remain unshaken. I vowed that even if I had to sacrifice myself, I would realize the supreme truth. Ultimately, I attained that liberating truth. Please teach me, O Great One, how to realize such virtuous qualities. All the things of this world are united in one essence, like an invisible string we cannot see. If you diligently do good, like the waves crashing to shore, Over time, your good karma will follow you through many lifetimes until enlightenment. On the other hand, if you do evil, then over many lives you will suffer its consequences, and that leads one astray. If you concentrate on your present moments with mindfulness, maintaining calm, you will discover the middle way within yourself, neither sorrow nor joy beyond the bondage and ebb and flow of karma, finally realizing the truth of impermanence. Please let me in. I want to meet the Buddha. Buddha, you are my last hope. Venerable Buddha, please save my son. Give me back my son so that I may be free from this pain. Please return my son to me. He can be saved, but first you must do something. Go to any home in the city and ask for a single mustard seed. Yes, I will go immediately. But remember, you must only ask from a household where no one has ever died. Yes, Venerable, I understand. My child. Sir, may I please have one mustard seed? Sure, I have plenty. You only need one seed? But first, please tell me, in your home, actually, I should ask, has anyone in your family ever passed away? My dear lady, what are you saying? My parents passed away half a year ago. I am sorry. I cannot take your mustard seed. Everything that is born in this world must die. That is the natural law. Whether you are old or young, wise or foolish, you must still die. If I had told you these facts earlier, would you have believed me? The moon hanging in the sky is like that supreme truth. Night after night, the moon rises, day by day growing fuller. Once it is full, it wanes, disappearing from sight. Yet it does not cease to exist. It only hides beyond our vision. Your child has not died. He is still living in your heart. Yes, calm your mind and you will understand. Life and death, union and separation, these are not two distinct things, but one. If I wish to be liberated, what must I do? The key to liberation is the transformation of your mind. Whether sorrow or joy arises, remain impartial. Practice that, and the chains of suffering will naturally unlock. Realizing the ultimate truth, aided by the growth of your wisdom, you will see that life and death, meeting and parting, are not separate but one. If someone consistently follows a certain principle, will they lose spiritual freedom? Could they become rigid, lacking flexibility? If a person blindly clings to fixed ideas and believes their own faith is the only truth, denying all else at that moment, the freedom of thought no longer exists? There is only one dominant view occupying the mind, bringing conflict and rejection in its wake. Blind faith or having no faith at all both create even stronger controls. Thought is an enormous energy. It can completely dominate you. That rigid fixation is the greatest obstacle on the path of practice. If you are trapped by it, the door to truth will never open. If everyone follows your teachings, would they also be bound? What I teach springs from my own realization. My path is not a doctrine or scripture or philosophy, but pure experience, and that is the teaching on impermanence. But, Venerable, if some people turn your path into a doctrine, then what? My path is for practical application, not for leaning on or idolizing without genuine practice. All my knowledge is like a raft. A raft can be used to cross a river, but once we have crossed, do we need to carry it on our heads? Yet I still have a feeling I cannot bow down completely. Emotions are divided into three types: joy, sorrow, and tranquility. These three feelings constantly exist in our body and mind. Emotion is like a wave that rises and then returns to stillness. First, examine the intensity of emotion. Understand it deeply. Discover its origin, whether it be happiness or sadness. If you can trace it back, you will realize that at its root, all is empty. This emptiness we speak of is like the vast blue sky. It seems void of anything, yet it contains all existence like a great heart. Keep practicing, and gradually you will notice that the waves that once rose up start to settle, and ultimate stillness will manifest in the depths of your mind, unwavering. Observing deeply within, you will see where the errors lie. The most unshakable can also be the most fragile. Ignorance is the source of all afflictions. My understanding comes from meditation. Meditation dispels ignorance. Apart from meditation, performing ceremonies, ascetic practices, fasting, or making sacrifices, all these cannot help you attain true insight. Fleeting joy robs us of our greatest treasure, supreme tranquility. Once we indulge in fleeting joy and let it sink deep into our brain, it is like a long nail that keeps us drifting between sorrow and happiness. If we find ourselves in that situation, Venerable, what should we do? At that time, focus on your breathing. Breathe in slowly and deeply, filling yourself with the energy of stillness. Then exhale gently, entering the realm of supreme tranquility. These two women are exploiting the purity and kindness of Venerable Ananda, trying to lead him into delusion. Riddhi, you truly love Venerable Ananda, don't you? You love him more than your own life? What is it about him that so captivates you? Everything about him. His eyes, his nose, his mouth, the way he walks and talks. Everything he is, I love it all. Venerable Ananda is so handsome, with such noble virtue that everyone treasures him. But have you ever witnessed the boundless love in his heart? Do you know who Venerable Ananda loves the most? Surely not me. You're mistaken. He does care for you, but not in the same way you love him. Venerable Ananda is free and independent. His love is broad and deep, embracing all beings, striving so that all beings can receive an unending love. His love does not generate desire or suffering. Meanwhile, your love gives rise to possessiveness. If you truly love him, you will understand and not hinder him. On the contrary, you may help his love reach an even higher dimension. Your love is selfish, wanting him only for yourself. Can you love in the same way Venerable Ananda loves? Can you teach me? Teach me how to love unselfishly? To love all beings as he does? Buddha's compassion is immeasurably vast. He can accept even someone of humble stature like me, can't he? Please forgive me. From now on, I too will follow your path.